But heading to this Eastern Conference side, man, I'm already going with Philly, and I'm gonna tell you why I'm going with Philly. Because man, people, look, everybody watching the show, just listen to me when I say this, man. James Harden got that team looking like it's just incredible, man. Because here's the thing, we already know that Joel Embiid, Harris, Tobias Harris, I believe do they still got Seth Curry? I'm trying to think. They still got Seth.
Nah, Seth was traded to Brooklyn.
Okay, so Seth is on Brooklyn. Don't even matter. Tobias Harris, you got Embiid, and you got Harden. Dude, them three right there, and I'm gonna tell you why. And of course, I'm gonna get to the rest of the guys. These three right here, I'm really gonna capitalize on. First of all, Embiid doesn't even have to play the whole game. Embiid can play when he needs to play, but there's times where Embiid may need to rest. And James Harden, because of his experience, because of his skill set, because of his magnificent, and I say this in all capital letters, magnificent field of vision, man. Like that court vision is crazy. I didn't know this dude was this good at being a point guard, really, until he hit Brooklyn, but it's really showing off out here in Philly. It's just like, bruh. And this dude has everybody, cut to the lanes. He leaves lanes open. Him and Joel Embiid has this nice little high top pick and roll thing going on, which when it comes to Embiid, I really need to get him a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more aggressive with taking that shot when he's open instead of thinking 2 or 3 steps, just catch the ball, let it go, or catch the ball, make a move and get to the basket. I want to see more reaction out of Embiid instead of thinking too much. And then, like I said, Tobias Harris, now this is why I solely like click on him so much, because people forget he's not a small guy. He's a solid, he's about 6'8", 6'7", he's around that range. And this brother moves and he's powerful. So I'm not really expecting him to drop like 20, 30 points or nothing like that. But to me, I'm not saying he has the same skill set or the same ability as a Dennis Rodman. But what I am saying is he's the same force as a Dennis Rodman when he's in that system, meaning that he's a nuisance. He's a pest. He can guard some of your forwards and some of your taller guards on oppositional teams. And so when you have that kind of system running with a guy like Harden at the top, a strong force like Embiid at the bottom, and then you have a forward that can go between each part of the court on the offensive end and defensive end, that could be a pest on either end, whether it's offense or defense. I already see issues with anybody in the East facing that team. Now, I'm not sleeping on Chicago. I'm not sleeping on Milwaukee. I'm not sleeping on some of these other. I'm not even sleeping on Brooklyn because I haven't forgot about Kevin Durant. But it goes back to what you said about that Western Conference, B. Jizzle, depth. A lot of these teams don't have depth like the LA Clippers. So when I put that into the factor, man, look, Philly is looking real nice right now, coming for that Eastern Conference championship. What you think about that?
All great points, bro. All great points. I'm gonna say this. I got Philly in the Eastern Conference championship, but I don't have them winning. I have the Brooklyn Nets winning with everyone healthy. I'm gonna tell you why, and I'm gonna popcorn it back to you. The aspects: superstar, all-star shooting, shot makers. Brooklyn, they're positives. Kevin Durant steps on the court, 99% of the time he's gonna be the best player. You can make the case with, Giannis and, Joel Embiid, but KD's going to be the best player on the court. So, again, with playoffs, you want to have the best players. Kyrie Irving, the all-star, he lives for these moments. He lives for these big moments, man. And I have a feeling he's going to be playing with a chip on his shoulder when he goes up against Philadelphia. And I think he's going to be giving it to James Harden. And whoever's on that court, it's just going to be a matter of if he's going to play. And they're shooting. Outside shooting, you got to have shot makers. You got to have guys who can hit shots, big shots. Patty Mills and Seth Curry and Joe Harris, to an extent, even though he kind of fluxed last year in the playoffs. But Patty Mills, throughout his career, has hit big shots in the playoffs for the Spurs. Seth Curry's a great marksman shooter, and Joe Harris is a marksman. And also, you got their improved interior play. That was the big Achilles heel for Brooklyn. They didn't really have a lot of big men that can, dominate the paint. But you got Nick Claxton, a young athletic, center. I think he's 7 feet. And then you got Andre Drummond, who's 6'10", is the backup center right now. So I think he's a good backup, good addition. And then finally, the championship DNA. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and Patty Mills. Those are the 3 guys that have championship DNA. You need that going into the playoffs. But the one Achilles heel they're going to have to really be concerned with is their coaching. I don't think Steve Nash is a great coach. I think he's an okay coach, a good coach, a player's coach. But in the playoffs, one of the faults he did was he overplayed KD too much last year and he got tired. So he's going to make sure he makes adjustments down the line. But kind of give me a little bit more detail why you feel Philadelphia is going to come out.
I don't like you, man. I don't like you because I ain't gonna lie. When you started breaking down your analysis, I said, you know what? I don't think Philly got that. When you started adding in the pieces, because you're right. I was more so thinking about Kevin Durant, like, okay, if you kind of let him do his thing, but worry about everybody else, he's going to go off. You can't really stop Kevin Durant. You already mentioned in your analysis that he's pretty much the best player when he's on the court. But in my mind, I'm thinking, well, as long as you kind of focus on everybody else and, you play defense on KD because you're not going to stop him. I kind of put KD in that Jordan bracket. It's like, yeah, you could try to slow Jordan down, but he's still going to drop 35 minimum. So it's like, I'm not too worried about KD. Like, he going to do his thing. But I was thinking in the back of my mind, like, well, if you could kind of control the offensive pace of the Brooklyn Nets and you can kind of control the defensive pace of the Brooklyn Nets, I feel like Philly has a better chance because I feel like they do have a true center presence in Joel Embiid. Because a lot of people don't understand the fundamentals of basketball starts from the post outward to the three-point key. So when you have literally the most dominant post in the league and the most skilled post in the league, in my opinion, really should be MVP this year. If you have that down there and then you have a super duper star at the top of the key, I mean, we're looking at a deadly combination. But then when you started bringing up, okay, Brooklyn also added some additions when it comes to the post and the forward positions. And I'm like, man, he has a good point. And not only that, even though I feel like one-on-one, like Embiid faced everybody on the Brooklyn team one-on-one, he would destroy them. This is a team sport. So then when you put that into play, you can always have taller guys on Brooklyn to kind of move and shift, to kind of harass and become like a little moving fence in front of Embiid, or at least harass him to where he has to either A, work harder for his points, or B, he's really going to have to rely off that jump shot, which he doesn't seem too comfortable with when Harden comes down for that high top, give and go or that screen. So when you said that, I was like, you know what? I see where BJ is going with this. But I'm going to try to stick with Philly anyway, because at the end of the day, like I said, when you have a defensive presence in Joel Embiid, you can't move him. You can't really shift him, but you can harass him like they did Shaq back in the day. But I just feel like if he can get that little 18 to 15, even that 12-footer fadeaway shot he likes, and even a three-pointer, if he can get somebody fishing on that with that high screen and roll with James Harden, I still think maybe 6-7 game series, I still think Philly going to pull it off. But what you think?
Hey, bro, I forgot to mention who else? Ben Simmons. Yo, that's going to be the X factor because check it out. Now, Ben Simmons don't got to score no more. All he got to do is play at a high level and play defense at 6'10". So basically, all you did was swap James Harden for Ben Simmons, who's a lot longer and plays defense, who fits with this Brooklyn system. So I didn't even mention the X factor, my bad. But as far as the potential matchups, if you look at the matchups, of course, like we got to do this 1 through 8, Miami, Philadelphia, Chicago, Milwaukee, Boston, Cleveland, and Toronto. Those are the 7 teams mixed with Brooklyn. They can beat any one of these teams. They match up very well. Let's start with Miami. Miami has the best chance, in my opinion, as far as the best matchup against Brooklyn because they're very physical and tough and they got depth, especially with the addition of PJ Tucker and they got Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. They're going to make it very interesting against Brooklyn. But again, it's going to come down to the duo of KD and Kyrie against the duo of Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. And I just think they have enough depth, Brooklyn, to beat Miami. And I feel like they have the 2 best players when they step on the court. And plus, the coaching is going to be a little bit of Achilles heel because Eric Spoelstra does make adjustments. So it's going to be interesting, but I still got Brooklyn. Philadelphia, to me, they're going to meet the Brooklyn Nets based off how the bracket's set up. I think Brooklyn's number 8 and Philly's number 2. So they're going to probably meet up. And like I said, Philly has the duo, but they don't have the offensive scoring off the bench to match Brooklyn. As well as Doc Rivers, he's an Achilles heel to that team as well. That's something you also got to remember. He's the king of giving up 3-1 leads and making adjustments in the playoffs. So he's gonna he's gonna be the Achilles heel. Chicago, the jury's still out. DeMar DeRozan, can they beat the elite teams? They've had some trouble with some elite teams. You know what I'm saying? Brooklyn and Philadelphia this year, they lost pretty big at their home court. They lost to Golden State. So can they beat the elite teams? I like how DeRozan's leading this team with Zach LaVine, but I need to see something more. Milwaukee, I feel like they've regressed this season. I don't think they're the same team. And if they're not the same team and they barely beat Brooklyn when Kyrie wasn't there and Kevin Durant had his foot on the line, I think Brooklyn getting better is they're going to beat Milwaukee in about 6 games, in my opinion. And then we got the last few teams, Cleveland. They just don't have enough. They're still young. They don't have the experience. They're kind of like the Memphis Grizzlies of the East. And then the Boston Celtics could be a bad matchup. They could be a bad matchup for Brooklyn because of the wings they got with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. But once again, their depth is just not as Brooklyn, and their stars are just not as quite as good as Kevin Durant and KD. And then Toronto, whatever. So I got Brooklyn coming out